Alright, the Peavey Bandit. Now, a lot of blues or tube amp snobs hate the Peavey Bandit. I actually really like it. I think it's a really versatile amp. It's one of those amps where you can use a pedal in front of it and it will sound great. It's also one of those amps where you can set it so it reacts very similar to a tube amp. Now, one of the great things about this amp is it has an attenuator on the back, or on the front, depending on the model. So you can set it from, like, say 10% of the overall output to 100%, which is full blast. Now, a great thing about having that is you can get that just clipping sound at almost any volume, and you don't seem to lose a lot of fullness, because transistor amps sound great at low volumes. Where they tend to miss out is when you start really cranking it, and that's when the tube amp just sounds way fuller and fatter. But at lower volumes, and I've always said this, I think transistor amps actually sound better, and a lot of people are going to hate that, but not all transistor amps either. But the Peavey Bandit and Tech 21, two awesome amps at low to moderate volumes. Put a tube screamer in front of it and it cooks. I must have done 100 gigs with that amp and I don't regret it. It really does sound good. Yeah, so they're very cool. You're very versatile. They've got like 3 channels you can pick from, lots of different gain stages. They're loud. They're really loud, which is another benefit of them. You can kind of crank them up. They're maybe not as full sounding as, say, a Hot Rod Deluxe, but they're almost audibly as loud without that thick tube bottom end that you get from a tube amp or a valve amp. So keep that in mind. Once you start pushing it to the sort of louder end of the spectrum, that's where the tube amp really shines. But the Bandits can sound rockin'. I really love it. The reverb's great. Spring reverb is awesome. Like, I really love that. And even the digital reverb they're putting into the new ones, I think sounds fine. My friend's got one. Sounds good to me. I didn't even know it was digital until I got to actually play with it. So it sounds fine. You can buy an additional foot switch that has channel switching capability and a boost function. Both great. I mean, that's a good thing. Now, the disadvantages to owning this amp is if you're basically after the tube, the real tube tone. If you're gonna miss that tube tone, don't buy one. So the biggest disadvantage, like I mentioned, at really loud volumes, you lose a lot of your low end, and that's just one of those things. The Tech 21 amp didn't do that quite as much, but they sound great. They sound very Fendery. They really do on the clean or on the just breaking up sound. And they're the only amp that can break up in a way that the Peavey does. And yeah, you either like it or you don't. Got a million videos on YouTube about the Bandit, so check them out.